What's going on, everybody? Episode 105 of Birds vs. Boys. This is Aidan here. If you're wondering why I'm doing the intro, I know you're used to Kevin doing the intros. He's great with our lead-ins, our intros. He will not be with us tonight. Don't fear, there's nothing wrong. He has a very special absence, and if you are listening the day of the release, he has a very special announcement today. So he will not be with us tonight, but he has a very valid and special excuse that we are excited for him. In his place, I apologize to Cowboys fans because this is going to be an Eagles-centric show. We have our guys from the Flippin the Birds pod. We had been on their podcast previously during Dallas Hate Week, both Kevin and I. So we brought them on to do an Eagles roundtable discussion. We expanded on our conversation from last week about the offseason needs for the Eagles. We talked Russell Wilson, we talked Deshaun Watson, and then we got into draft stuff as well. So it was a great conversation around the table with those guys. And then obviously at the end, we had Vince carrying us with the TikToks, top 3 destinations for Russell Wilson this offseason. So again, no Kevin tonight, but we're excited for him. We're excited for him to be back, and we're excited for his announcement. If you're listening day of, make sure you're following him on Twitter at Kmess22, and we'll be announcing from our podcast page as well at Birds vs. Boys Pod. So without further ado, here it is, episode 105 of Birds vs. Boys.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds vs. Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yeah. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope. I'm going to drink bleach.
That it?
Be the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.
All right, we now welcome on our friends from Flippin the Birds podcast. As we mentioned, we've been on their show before, have a great rapport with them. Happy to have them on, filling in tonight. I've already apologized to the Cowboys fans. They know they're not getting a lot of Cowboys content tonight, aside from maybe making fun of their fans for crying in the fourth quarter against the 49ers in the wild card round. But it'll be a lot of Eagles content tonight. We've got our guys, Bryan and Morgan. Fellas, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'll try and go easy on the Cowboys fans. I know you got a lot of them, so condolences. Can't say I didn't see it coming, but I'm excited to talk some Birds. I know Bryan is too.
Oh, definitely am. I mean, I feel like we didn't get to really talk Birds yesterday when we spoke to Cole, so I'm definitely looking forward to breaking a lot of hearts tonight.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because on this podcast, we walk a fine line because it's clearly 50-50.
You're supposed to tell me the rules beforehand.
No. So here's the thing. Like we're always 50-50, and then we'll have like a Cowboys guest on, and I'm very friendly. After that Cowboys lost, I was like in tears just laughing at their pain. Like it was all off the table.
Yeah. No, I didn't put a whole lot of money on the games, but I definitely put money on San Fran. I don't know. It's tough. I would hate to be in that position, but as an Eagles fan, it's fantastic.
It's kind of like that Thanos in GIF, where it's like I am the inevitable. When the Cowboys reach the playoffs, like you know what's gonna happen. They're not gonna advance. It hasn't happened in years. They're probably the most overrated franchise, even though I'm a big fan of Dak. Yeah, yes. Outside of that, they're a very overrated franchise, and they still see the Lammy bastards.
Yeah, I think about that all the time.
Oh wait, is this like no holds barred? Can I just speak freely or?
Oh yeah.
Oh okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Morgan gave me the blue eye look.
Oh no. We swear quite a bit. So
okay, cool.
You're good. Pretty much. So I remember our first episode after a game. Like we started our podcast last season, and like it was so subdued. There was really nothing to argue about between us because we weren't even sure the NFL season was going to happen with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then both of our teams lost week 1, and it was just like a free for all. Every other word was the F word. Just we lost to the Washington football team, blew a 17-0 lead, and all bets were off the table.
Yeah, we were at the bar for that game.
That triggered a really sad memory, like one of those core memories, losing that week 1 game. Like I don't know, you just mentioned it, and I just got sad all of a sudden. That was tough.
It was so promising, and you thought you had a talented team. Rager catches a deep bomb, and I don't think he's done anything productive ever since. And
Yeah, he really hasn't done anything productive. I mean, even his social media is declining.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least some entertainment.
Everything's in a negative. Went from 34 photos to 1.
Oh, classic. That's such a classic move when you just delete all the photos.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that because so last week Kevin and I did our most pressing offseason needs. Number one for me was a dynamic wide receiver opposite of Devontae Smith. Obviously, at this point, I think it's safe to say it's not going to be Reagor. How do you guys feel? What are your most pressing needs for the Eagles this offseason, draft, free agency? What are we looking for?
Brian, you want to go first?
You want me to create the chaos and you just come in and like kind of
Okay, cool. Sure.
Yeah, like the Joker leaving the hospital.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
The most pressing need is quarterback.
Ooh.
There's no way around it. And I'm sorry. And Morgan, you can attest to this because you are my witness. The beginning of the season, I was big on Jalen Hurts. This guy was the guy for me. I feel like he was the second coming of Donovan McNabb or I even compared him to Randall Cunningham at sometimes.
Wow.
But after seeing him, you saw a kid that's gifted, for sure, gifted with his legs. He can definitely, pull a locker room together, which is great to have that kind of A1 personality. But he's not an A1 player to me now. Like, if you actually look at the tape, like, at times he looks so lost. And I think there was a stat out there where he had the most time in the pocket without doing anything with it. It was the weirdest stat in the world, but I was reading about it. And he was literally number 1. And it blew my mind. So now thinking about it, like everybody's saying, okay, no, you have to use these draft picks. You have to use these draft picks. Why? Everybody was clowning Howie Roseman before last year's draft, saying that he couldn't draft. Why do you want the guy that can't draft to draft all of a sudden? Why are you so sold on Jalen Hurts? Like, what has he done to you besides say great punchlines in press conferences? Like, that's all he's done. Outside of the Chargers game, I feel like there's not really a game, career-defining game he's had. And I get he's 23 years old. But let's also remember, we're in Philadelphia. We're in probably the most demanding sports city in the world. Yes. Think about they ran Ben Simmons out of town.
I gave him 5 years to figure it out.
Yeah. I think he ran himself out of town.
He had 5 years to shoot like 70% from the free throw line. He was shooting 34 in the playoffs.
Okay, poor guy. All right, poor thought. But my thing is just like we're a win now city. And on top of that, with a win now city, you need a win now quarterback. Now, are the Eagles one quarterback away from the Super Bowl? No. And I'm going to kill the people's delusional comments after that. They're not. But having a Russell Wilson throwing to a Dallas Goedert, throwing with anticipation to a Devontae Smith and a Quez Watkins, and also bringing Russell Wilson also attracts another free agent. You get that, that A1 or A2 receiver. You could trade for a Calvin Ridley who will want to play with Russell Wilson. You could trade for it, and you could sign Allen Robinson or Mike Williams who will want to play with Russell Wilson. Like, that's what it's all about. It's all about bringing the hot commodity to the city so he could bring his friends to come and play. Now, yes, you give up 2 first-round picks.
Probably okay, 3, maybe even 3.
I feel like that's so 6. No, I feel like that's so overrated. That the idea that you're going to trade 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson, I don't think that's on the table. I think 2 first-round picks, a possible player, and even a second pick next year, or even this year's second-round pick, gets it done. And you bring them to town. You have the rest of the draft to actually get these guys who are falling into the 3rd round, falling into the 4th round. You could get great players in the later rounds. Look at Jason Kelce. I mean, look at Antonio Brown. I mean, poor subject now, but you can find the diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
And then Russell Wilson's going to win you games. He's going to keep the offense in the games when the defense is not doing their job, opposed to us free falling like, it's not on Jalen Hurts. No, it is on Jalen Hurts. He didn't make that first down pass. He didn't make that 3rd down pass. Like, we got to stop babying this kid. We coddle too many players in this city, and it's gotten to the point where it's just we're looking really foolish out here. I'm a little tired of it. So QB need
So I don't know if you guys can see in the background. So Vince is in the background. He's not there right now, but he was when you said it, and his eyes lit up. He's probably back there wiping off tears of joy because you made his job so easy. In 2 minutes of being on, you have his teaser clip for tomorrow.
Oh,
his podcast. His work is already done.
There you go. I mean, you told him to create some chaos.
Puerto Rican rants on Birds versus Boys.
Perfect. Right off the bat. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, It's a good thought though, and Morgan, you can answer this because I know Brian kind of gave his idea of what it would take. Colin Cowherd today said Eagles should trade for Russell Wilson, 4 first-round picks, and Darius Slay. That to me seems just like an unrealistic Madden type trade.
Yeah.
What do you think it would actually take to get this done? And would that price be worth it?
Yeah, I think if it's just picks, you're probably looking at 3 picks, maybe a mid-round kicker. I mean, it is Russell Wilson, right? So you're talking about a quarterback that a lot of people think is generational. So I think that alone is value enough to say we deserve 3 first, and that's probably not 3 first this year. I think that's probably 2 picks this year and then 1 in the future. You might be able to find some value, like an Andre Dillard. I think that they'd be interested in. Their line has sucked for so long. If they're trying to rebuild, that deal could even include Jalen Hurts. I don't see why that you'd keep him if you're trading for Russell Wilson. So then it's maybe 2 first rounds, Andre Dillard, Jalen Hurts, and a mid-round kicker, something like that. But I think the equivalent of 3 first-round picks plus is what's going to take. Like you're talking about Seattle, whose entire identity has been Russell Wilson for the last couple of years. For some reason, they still want to run the ball and be a running team. I think that they just have that one play stuck in their head, and they're like, okay, we'll just we don't want that one play to happen again, so we're just going to run the ball. But essentially, they built this entire team. So that's talking about. I think a lot of people have been thinking about from the Eagles' perspective, but from the Seattle Seahawks perspective, that's a full rebuild. Like that trade right there means you are not going to win for the next foreseeable future. So I think that's what they're thinking. I think that if you do trade them Jalen Hurts, like that Jalen Hurts in that trade is not a quarterback they think they're going to go to the Super Bowl with. He'd be a stopgap, I think. And then if he turns into something, fantastic. But I think that's why you need the 3 first-round picks that Seattle's talking. 4 and Slay, that's ridiculous. Like, what's the point? I don't see the point for the Eagles. The whole point is that you're in a win-now mode and you would get rid of your best defensive playmaker at this point. I don't understand that.
Yeah, totally agree. And I also think Russell Wilson has enough pull at this point in his career where he can almost dictate to a point where he would want to go.
Right.
And if we were giving up 4 first-round picks and Darius Slay, arguably our best defender, why would he want to come here?
Yeah.
Because, it'd be impossible to build around him then.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's something to keep an eye on because I know the odds at the sportsbook boosted this week in terms of the Eagles getting him. Deshaun Watson, thoughts? Do you guys want him or is it just too far gone with what's going on?
I just think that's not like Brian said, that's like you're not a quarterback away. So, I mean, I hate to think of it in terms of football because it's far beyond that at this point. I hate even the thought of having to justify cheering for a guy just because he's on my team. Like that's a tricky conundrum, especially, like I got so many women in my family that I hold near and dear that have a really hard time wrapping their brains around me cheering for that guy. Like it's a tricky situation, even if he's acquitted, or nothing happens. But like, why risk it? If you're like, it sucks to say, like, if you're not going to win a Super Bowl, it's not worth it. But like, if you're thinking of the Eagles terms, like that, you lose a lot of people cheering for your team. I think that this is a team too that's done a really good job of not drafting those players, right? Like there's been so many people that should have been on the Eagles radar talent wise that they've taken off just because of behavioral issues or, a problem. You think about like Joe Mixon, for example, and stuff like that. They've avoided, there was that corner that went to, the Raiders and ended up being a really good player that we had on our roster. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but we avoided those players. So what changes? I don't think it's worth selling your soul for that.
I agree. Brian, what do you feel? Still kicking the tires on him or no?
So personally, no. But if it was going to be any franchise to help this kid turn his career around, why would we overlook the Eagles, knowing what they've done in the past? Michael Vick, for example. I'm not saying they should. I have a 4-year-old daughter. I have, a lot of women in my family, and I don't agree with everything that Deshaun has done. And I don't think he's worth the value, to be honest, because it's a king's ransom. They want 5 or 7 picks or something like that, or win some players. I wouldn't risk it, but I wouldn't overlook the Eagles either. The report came out last year where Howie Roseman was willing to go above and beyond, hire his own investigative team to help the situation. Like that's kind of wild, and that screams
the fact
like,
that he
hey,
has his own investigative team.
Yeah, like who is this guy?
Of course he does.
Team?
Of course he
this guy has his own Law and Order by his side. Like who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't.
Isn't that a red flag though? Like
that is a super red flag.
Trading a guy and you need to like hire the cast from Law and Order FU to like figure out if he should be on the team. Doesn't that like say, hey, maybe this could be a bad idea?
Although how he seems like the guy, he sends his investigative team after the dude that he went in for the fist bump and it looked a little weird. He probably sent an investigative team over here, like find whatever dirt you can. We need to sue him. You know what I mean?
Find dirt on him to drive the price down so that
exactly. Yeah.
I wouldn't risk it, man. I mean, it's too much. I think when he did do that, it was just signs of desperation because they didn't know what they had in Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. Now they know they have a stopgap QB if you don't go for Russell Wilson. But it's off the table for me personally. But I wouldn't count them out. They're gonna be in the rumors no matter what because Howie says anybody that's available, we're gonna look into it.
I think that's the most fair way to put it. Is it realistic to assume one of those quarterbacks will be on the roster next year? No, but it is the Eagles, and they clearly recognize the pressing need for franchise quarterback and will always go above and beyond to find the guy. So that's definitely one of the most pressing needs. The other ones I mentioned last week, so I said defensive end, it's probably not going to have Derek Barnett back. Mm-hmm. And then just like acknowledging that the linebacker position exists. So those were two of mine. Do you guys have any others aside? I know we touched a lot on quarterback. Anything else you can think for this team coming up this year you want them to focus on draft free agency?
Safety. I beat you to it.
What?
Safety. It has to be safety.
Yeah.
For me, it has to be safety. Like you need that dog in the back of the secondary. We had it in Malcolm. Malcolm was a complete dog. One of my favorite players of all time, wearing in midnight green. Then you had Brian Dawkins at one point. I don't think Ronnie McLeod is it. I don't think Anthony Harris is it. I think a player like Marcus Williams through free agency makes the most sense in the world. But you need that quarterback on your secondary to pair with Darius Slay going forward. Like it just has to happen. I don't think you go to the draft for a safety.
I think adding to it, I mean, it's kind of a broad answer, but I think just finding a defensive identity, like clearly this is a team that Jonathan Gannon wants to build kind of from the secondary up. Like he wants to build a really smart, versatile secondary, and that just hasn't been the case for the last couple of years. That's not how Jim Schwartz built his team. That's not really the philosophy of the front office here as well. So if they're going to stick with the defensive front as, the where they hang their hat, clearly that needs to be addressed in the first round, right? You don't have a complementary player. Like maybe they move Josh Sweat over, maybe it's Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat. But you still, like, they've always had that kind of third rotation guy, and who knows how long Brandon Graham's going to be here. So if that's what they decide to go with, then it needs to be defensive end. I wouldn't be surprised even if they even go defensive tackle early, just to have that extra guy, just to be, that much more versatile. They can put all kinds of packages, but I'm hoping that they go the other way and they get the safety first. Like, I just think that fits better into what Jonathan Gannon's trying to do. Brian kind of stole my thunder with that, but I think also addressing the other side of the line. I think the offensive line, like center is the big deal, right? If Jason Kelce leaves, it sounds like he's coming back this year, but it's, he's always flirting with retirement. Like, I feel like Jason Kelce's just going to disappear into the night one time. We're never going to hear from him again. It's going to be like that. Oh man, why am I blanking on the name of that movie? Good Will Hunting. You know what I mean? Like, he's just going to leave a note on the door and he's just going to be gone, right? Like, that's how it's going to be. It would be the perfect, he's just going to like disappear tonight in that mummer's fit, and just galloping away. Like, so we need that next option, because that has been a mainstay of the offense for so long. And I think we'll see just how important center is once Jason Kelce leaves. So I think, my ideal first round is probably defensive end, linebacker / safety, and then a center. That would be perfect. However,
go for
it. Wide receiver is, you said wide receiver, so I can't say wide receiver. But I think this is a pretty deep class of wide receivers, actually. So I think you can get one in the second round.
I was about to say the same thing. I was going to say that is my exact like draft order of like linebacker, defensive end, and then center, because I know that kid from Iowa, Tyler Lindenbaum.
Right.
His comp is Jason Kelsey, so that just feels like it makes too much sense for it not to happen. But I think that would be my 3 as well if you were drafting it. Do you guys think like? So you talked about the way Jonathan Gannon wants to build his defense and kind of from the back to the front and kind of building this smart where secondary where they're the brain of the operation. Do you think that's why his defense looks so bad at times this year? Because Jim Schwartz did it one way and then they had to completely revamp it in 1 year when Jonathan Gannon took over.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's personnel. The fact of the matter, he has Jim Schwartz sloppy seconds on the roster. That's the best way to look at it. I mean, personnel wise, you saw the pushback that Fletcher Cox gave him. You saw what he tried pulling off with Derek Barnett in coverage, things of that sort. It just didn't make sense, and I think that's going to be a huge we're gonna say point of emphasis for the offseason. I think they're going to really revamp this defense to kind of fit Gannon, since they already have the offense that fits Sirianni, except for quarterback. It's gonna make. I wouldn't be surprised if they go heavy on free agency with defensive players.
I think Jonathan Gannon too kind of fell victim to like Eagles fans expecting certain like markers of success on like we got used to pressure rate. That's what we want to see. We want to see sacks. We want to see QB hits, and we want to see like time in the pocket. That's what we're used to, right? Our defense is good if we have those 3 or 4 things. And we didn't have those this year. But the difference is, third down completion rate was really good. And I think those got overlooked. Like the defense as a whole is not great, but there's signs like long passes we didn't allow a whole bunch of. There's a couple here and there. Air yards were pretty low. And I think, obviously we were allowing those like easy passes. We saw a lot of that, like they were playing off coverage, allowing like little dink and dunks, but those are the markers of a good pass defense is they're not allowing big plays. The completion rate and all that stuff, a lot of it was tight ends and we just didn't have the backers for it. So I think that we thought this defense was even worse than it was because we were used to seeing, okay, Fletcher Cox is in the quarterback's lap every other play. So we have a good defense and it wasn't happening this year, but we also weren't seeing, Jalen Mills getting beat for 150 yards a game. So like there's improvement. And I know that Darius Slay helps, but, on the other side, it was like, who knows how that could have been. Who knew that Avonte Maddox was going to take the leap that he did? He, showed signs as well. But I think there are certain things. It just, like Brian said, some personnel issues. And then just like it doesn't look like a complicated defense. But I think that there's stuff that he wants to do that is complicated. And we just saw him kind of testing those things out and trying them out. And they just clearly didn't work.
It very much felt since the time he was hired, he's been a hot name, and it's like you're not going to have him long because he's going to be a head coach soon. And this whole time, our entire fan base was just like, what are we missing? What's going on that every quarterback is completing 75% of the passes against us? And this guy is the next hot thing. It was just so funny to watch.
It was very mind-boggling.
It was just like I don't understand NFTs, and I feel like Jonathan Gannon is like NFTs. Where I'm just like,
that's the perfect
what everybody
example.
Else is getting.
That's the perfect example of Gannon, and you need to quote that and like throw it out there on like a nice little GIF or something like that. Yeah, because that makes all the sense in the world. Like nobody gets what makes this guy special, but then again, like this roster, the personnel to begin with wasn't special to start. I mean, defensive line, it was great. But we didn't have a secondary. We just got Anthony Harris, and we just got Steven Nelson. Linebackers has always been a weakness, so it's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, we were kind of using one too many stopgap guys on defense for it to ever work. So we'll see where it goes from there. Now, I know you guys have been doing some draft research. Who'd you have on your show last night?
Cole Strange.
Gotcha.
It was actually Morgan's younger brother, Cole Strange.
Yeah, apparently we look similar. I don't know.
They had the same hairdo yesterday. Everything was the same, and they were very excited to talk to each other.
Did you guys like know going in? Were you like, this guy looks like me when you guys interviewed him and everything like that?
Actually, he looks a lot more ginger in his profile too. He didn't look so ginger on maybe it's just the lighting. I don't know.
It was actually a listener that brought it to our attention when he said that, hey, like Morgan looks like Cole's younger brother. and it just had the same hair,
look like the third Manning brother. So like at some point you just gotta draw the line. Like I'm not taking that. The forehead's not that big, man.
I don't see that.
I'm wearing the hat today though. So
are you feeling secure today? Is that why you're wearing the hat?
Man, I didn't sleep while I was tossing.
Embrace it, bro. I have no forehead. Like it's just like a black hole.
Maybe that's the key. I just gotta shave it off. Match you and Chris. Chris shaved his head too.
Oh yeah, that happened too. Apparently on the podcast.
I saw that. Yeah, you guys are in solidarity, just going no hair, all beard.
Yeah. I have there's nothing special about me anymore.
Man, I made so many puns about being bald. Like last night, I was just like, I'm gonna get back, and then the next day, I had them ready. But who knows?
Okay, man, you're gonna run out Rogan one day. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know.
I guess that day comes for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's coming. Don't worry about it. That's why you got to embrace the beard.
Yeah. I always worry about it because my hair, like I'm red. Like it's, I don't think you can just dye this if it goes a different color, or if it starts to feed or anything.
Everybody likes a little salt and pepper. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah. I think that's going to how it's going to have to be. I have no other choice but to just go that way. All right, so before we let you guys go, let's talk a little bit draft. We've got a few months here, but this is the time we start kind of getting in the trenches, watching the YouTube videos, doing all the homework. I know you guys are kind of into the late round guys. I have not gotten there yet. I'm barely out of the first round. Who do you guys have?
Brian will have more to say with the new guys, I think.
Perfect. All right, we'll combine them together. Morgan's got our late round diamonds in the rough. And then Brian's got our first rounds. We can't miss this obvious talent guys. So where do you guys want to start? You want to go diamonds in the rough, or you want to go first round?
I can start. I've mostly been looking at receivers. So there's I don't know why. It was just the first one I picked. There's some corners too. Like so I did a lot of film work with the East-West Shrine game. I feel like there's a lot of late round guys. Wanye Thomas is like a big hitter. There was I don't know all the names. They're a Baylor safety, Pitre or something like that. Pitre. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but I think he was part of the Senior Bowl. He looked really nice. We're gonna have I think Yasir Taylor. He's Wake Forest. He was like a nice. He had a nice game. In terms of these are all corners and DBs, but in terms of wide receiver, the guy I really like is Eric. And I might butcher this name, but Ezukanma, he goes to Texas Tech. But he's just like a big body. He reminds me of a lot of like and he's not as polished or he might not hit those combine numbers, but he reminds me of like a DK Metcalf guy. Like everything this dude does is just like he's just big, muscle, strong. He competes, and he just I don't know for whatever reason kind of being overlooked right now. I think he's definitely a second round talent, whether or not he gets drafted in the second round. Like this is a pretty stacked wide receiver class. And we had mentioned it too. There's a lot of options in the second and third rounds for wide receiver and a lot of complementary options. There's a lot of big bodies. What I saw, I think that was most impressive about Eric is, and I'm going first name. That's a weird thing, but I can't.
You guys know each other that well.
Yeah.
That much research. I know you.
Yeah, exactly. But I think like the one thing I saw on film with a lot of these guys is just concentration drops, and like as Philly fans, like those just drive us nuts. Like how many times have we seen these guys drop balls that are right in their hands? And there was none of that on Eric's film. Like it was really good, like really solid. I know that like everyone wants Christian Watson out of North Dakota, and if they can grab him, great. I don't think they're going to spend a first round pick on a receiver after doing it 2 years in a row. So a second round guy that's similar build, similar skill set is the Texas Tech guy.
I'm all in on the Texas Tech guy. All you have to do is say he's close to DK Metcalf, and
for sure.
Remember when DK fell and like their reason, like he ran like a 4.42 40, and their reasoning was like, well, he just has straight line speed.
Yeah,
just like
a nagging high ankle thing. Those go away. Like that's not career ending.
But they drafted Sidney Jones in the second round.
Yeah, unreal. And it's just like turns out he was good because he's the most athletic guy there, and everyone knew he's the most athletic guy there.
Exactly.
Didn't think that would translate. That still boggles my mind that he fell down to like 60th overall or something like that.
Well, it was like similar to the Byron Jones thing, right? Like just like combine records, and then people are like, I don't know, like maybe he's just an athlete, and then gets this massive deal with the Dolphins after he leaves.
Yeah. Well, God forbid he's only a great athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm in. I'm gonna be. I'll definitely be adding him to my YouTube watch list. That's how I determine all my guys. I watch YouTube game film, and if they pop, then I'm in. If they don't, then I'm not. Easy. Yeah. I don't do the advanced.
This is one of the more fun films to watch, man. He's fun to watch. So,
perfect. Yeah. I am in. All right, Brian. I know there's a lot of names because we have 3 first-round picks, but give me a few you'd like to see.
So obviously, I mean, I would love for them to go wide out in the first round, which Morgan kind of scolds me about. I would love to see the Chris. I can never see if I pronounce this the right way. Is Chris Olave or is it Chris Olave?
Olave. Yeah.
Olave. Okay. I would love to see him paired with Devontae Smith. I would love to see Treylon Burks as well. But I feel like there's one name and one position we're overlooking in the first round that's a definite need, and it's cornerback. Bring the Sauce to Philly. Yeah, a 6'2" cornerback that can play well in zone and that can play even well in man, who hasn't really hit that point where it's like, he knows what he's doing like to his full potential yet. I want that. I want that in Philly. I want that with Darius Slay.
The stats on that guy are nuts. Something got posted today. Hasn't allowed a touchdown in his entire college career.
That's phenomenal. Like what? It doesn't get better than that. Imagine how many billboards you could have with the Sauce, like just playing along with that, like throw some sauce on a cheesesteak or something like that. Like I want Gardner lining up alongside Darius Slay for the next 2 years. And then after that, you translate it to Gardner and Vontae Maddox. You hope that Tay Godwin, develops into something good, and you just go from there. But they need a strike on cornerback in this draft. If they don't make the move for Russell Wilson, I think you use some picks and you trade up because I feel like he won't fall past the top 10. You have to make that move. The moment that Stingley's gone, Gardner's going to be up next within 1 or 2 picks. Yeah. So you got to make that move, trade up. Ideally, I wouldn't go cornerback. I would love for them to go offense again, but to me, it has to be cornerback and then linebacker, Nakobe Dean. Like you need a dog. I mentioned you need a dog on defense. Fletcher Cox is an old dog. He's just aging. He's not who he used to be. And Nakobe Dean behind Fletcher Cox, behind Javon Hargrave, behind Milton Williams, like Josh Sweat, like that's who you need back there. You need that scary face, that guy who's going to be intimidating offenses for years to come.
I'm glad you touched on those 2 guys because they feed into 2 of my draft theories. I have very stupid but make sense draft theories. So 1, some people are just too cool to fail. Sauce Gardner is just too cool to fail. And I went to Temple, so I watched a lot of AAC football, probably more than a normal, reasonable human being would watch. Yeah. He's just like popped. He's all over the field. Like you can tell where he is in the field. He's just one of those guys that your eyes just go to him, which doesn't happen often for a quarterback. You're usually watching the offense, stuff like that. But he's tall, so he kind of sticks out. And he's always making plays. And I remember vividly, they have like their turnover thing was like the dunk. Like they had a basketball hoop and just like him picking a guy off multiple times in a game and just going over the sideline and just windmill dunking the football. Like the kid's just too good to fail. And then with Nakobe Dean, my other theory is just draft the best players on the best team. That's why I love Devontae Smith. He won a Heisman. He's the best receiver. Right. He played for Alabama, won a national championship. Like sometimes it's just easy. Kobe Dean was an amazing athlete and an amazing linebacker on one of the best college defenses we've ever seen. If that pick fails, I'm not going to be that angry because you went for the best player on the best team.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
I was slamming Patrick Queen when he was an option, and he takes some time, right? Like, but you just bet on those guys. Yeah. It reminds me of like JC Horn. JC Horn's a cool dude, and obviously had the injury, but it's just like similar to what you say. Like I don't know. Cool dudes and good players on good teams always work out.
Yeah, that hits like both of your guys together. Like cool dude, dog, JC Horn right there. Like I think he'll be good for years to come, even though he had the foot injury. But yeah. So those are my theories. I'm glad that we that you hit on all those.
They aligned.
I feel like Howie wants to do the opposite too. Howie wants to like get the small school guy that's not very cool. That like
I feel like that's the thing of the past though now. Ever since the Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson.
But he does seem like he's kind of looking for that girl next door, where he just kind of like takes off the glasses, put a little makeup on it, and all of a sudden they're a first round pick. You know what I mean? Like that's Jalen Reagor. Like, you know what I mean? He was hoping. Jalen Reagor's kind of cool. He's got the cool vibe about him, but
that was such a bad pick, man.
DK Metcalf runs the 4.42 and he has an 8-pack. Oh,
yeah.
JJ, I think the Whiteside, absolutely.
Finesse guy from Stanford.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. I think it's just like an ego thing where he's like, all right, when everyone else zigs, I'm going to zag, and it just doesn't work out. And I've read multiple reports that it was basically like, we're changing our draft strategy or else a lot of us are going to be out of a job. So I feel like the last draft was that example of that, and they've changed their strategy. So I hope it continues this year, or else they legit might be out of a job.
Maybe we'll be working over there next year. Who knows?
Oh man, listen, they could bring us in, and we'd be better off. Listen to all the guys that we wanted in the past that they didn't take. We would have been fine.
We would have had our own Pro Bowl team.
Yeah, honestly, we would have drafted them 3 or 4 more Pro Bowlers. It's
a bad cap room.
But I don't know. We wouldn't have Jason Kelsey. So, it's give and take, right?
Yeah. All right.
As long as we don't have to run the salary cap and you can just draft the player.
Yeah.
Just turn it off like Madden. That's all you got to do. Just turn it
off. Right. That's what the Saints do every year. Just turn it
Pretty
off.
much, yeah.
We'll figure it out down the road.
I wish I could do what Howie does with the draft with like my Netflix. I'd be like, I'll just add years to this, and so it costs me less now, and then I'm just gonna cancel before we get there. Like, I wish I could do that with all my subscriptions. That would be nice.
Oh yeah. Honestly, if they offered that option, just kick it down the road.
Yeah, exactly. I'll pay you in 2017, but I'm gonna cancel it before then.
I'll pay double per month.
Yeah.
In 3
years from now. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to cancel.
Imagine how he's selling that to a player's agent. Like, you're going to make all this money down the road, but right here, we need you to work with us. Like, how does that even work?
How do they pull that off?
That's mind blowing.
It's like there's not years on this contract, but there's years on this contract, but they don't count, but you do get paid, but we don't pay. I don't understand.
Don't listen to the media. There's years on. There's money. Don't worry about it.
And also, when the time comes that we do have to pay you, we're going to convert it into a bonus so it doesn't show up on our salary cap. It's basically
you
like
get taxed paid less. Don't worry about it.
You're getting paid under the table cash so it doesn't get taxed.
You just got like a garage full of cash. You're just like, all right, here's my address. Just show up, and you just hand it out.
Yeah, like you mow lawns in the summertime.
Yeah. Don't put it all in one place.
How he's freaking terrible, man.
He's something else. The stuff that he tries, it's something else. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. I think we'll wrap it here. I do really appreciate you guys because it was a definite time of need with Kevin not being able to join us this week. And honestly, I love him to death, but sometimes I don't want to talk about the Cowboys safety.
You just need your space. I get it. Don't worry. You just need your space.
It was great to just go all Eagles for an hour straight. It was very refreshing. I'm glad we got to do it.
Do you think the Cowboys draft another linebacker this year? What do you think?
Didn't they draft like 4 last year?
Yeah, I was just saying they took Jabril Cox and then he got hurt, so I don't think they do. And if they lose DeMarcus Lawrence, then they're probably going to go defensive line. But and that's the other thing. So on our Twitter account, it's like half Eagles, half Cowboys. So I have like the Cowboys mock drafts memorized in my brain just from those guys, and they're great. Like we met a lot of great Cowboys media people, but oh my god,
isn't the mock draft kind of like under investigation, felony, under investigation?
Yeah.
Felony. Isn't that the acceptance for Cowboys?
Yeah, and then just like a guy who's getting selected 9th overall that they have going 24th.
Yeah. And then CD Lamb somehow.
Again.
Bastard, bro.
Oh, man, what a pick.
We ended up with Rager. I don't care about Justin Jefferson. We ended up with Rager over CD Lamb because they didn't want to freaking trade with the Falcons.
I know. It's crazy. And I guess they didn't want to either. They ended up with AJ Terrell, who's turning into a stud. So I guess that worked out for them too, even though he probably would have been there.
Yeah, he definitely would have been there, but was
picked up an extra pick. But oh well, hopefully this year's a little bit different for us. So congratulations to you guys. This is the first time we've talked since you guys had the merger with Metro. So I'll let you guys talk about that a little bit and explain where everyone can follow you and stuff like that.
So we're official now. That's when people ask me, that's the one thing I say. Yeah, we're official. That's all it is. I mean it's a huge testament to Liam's grind. The guy started, the company from nothing. He quit his job, became full time. And I feel like I've never seen anybody work harder than Liam. Like if you send, I would send him a text message on Tuesday, and the guy would not respond till Friday because he's putting out 6 articles a day. He's putting out 3 articles a night. 3 videos a night, and it all paid off. And now with Metro, we do get more publicity, and yeah, it's working out really, really well so far. I have no complaints.
Brian's being modest. Brian got published. Brian's in the newspaper.
I did get published on the newspaper. I was not thinking about that right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it's a nice avenue for us. We show up on local Philly newspapers, and it's cool. It's cool. I love it. It's pretty cool.
When you got published, did you go out and get the physical handheld copy?
I didn't. Actually, one of our editors, I should have. One of our editors sent it the digital copy. I showed my wife. I'm like, look, babe, I'm in a newspaper. She's like, oh my God.
That's got to be a great feeling, though. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, congrats to you guys.
We appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate you having us on, too. I feel like we don't have as much fun as, hopefully nobody else hears this. We don't have as much fun as we have with you guys so far. The first episode where I wasn't a part of, you guys were having the time of your life. And for some reason, I was the butt of Morgan and Chris's jokes. Second episode, I had the time of my life, with you guys as well. And then now it's just a good time all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. I was going to say, every time we just kick and have a great time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Even Kevin, the Cowboys fan, he cuts it up with you guys.
He's the only Cowboys fan I like. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
He is. I'll give him credit. He is a realistic Cowboys fan, so he knows kind of the deal with them, and he's always kind of friendly with Eagles fans. He knows kind of where the alliances lie right now. So it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. All right, before we get out of here, let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can read you now as well. Everything.
Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm on Twitter as Morgan_PSM, which is right there. We're on Instagram and Twitter, Flippin the Birds Pod. So right now we're releasing.
Well, Twitter is Flippin Birds Pod.
Flippin Birds Pod.
Yeah, somebody had Flippin the Birds Pod. Wasn't
right. Yeah. See, this is why I got Brian here. But yeah, we're releasing some draft, some prospect profiles right now. We're gonna kick it into full swing in March. So. If you want, access to that, follow our Instagram. We're gonna pop those on Twitter too. So, and just to chat Eagles, we're always kicking about. So that's where you can find me and Flippin the Birds and then Brian.
Yeah, you can find me at bcameronpsn on Twitter. You can find our work at phillysportsnetwork.com, which just got a revamped website today, so it looks freaking phenomenal. You can also find our work at Metro Philly as well. We have a lot of things up and coming from our camp, from Sixers, Phillies, Eagles. So a lot of us are grinding pretty hard right now, but it's paying off.
Not me, though. Not for me.
Yeah. Okay, you still get a cut. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that money's gonna come in. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's coming.
All right. Well, I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you again. This was fun, and I'm sure we'll be doing it again. This time we'll have Kevin back in the typical round table. Us four. We'll kick it again.
Sounds like a plan. This time I'll be on time. Don't worry about it.
All good. All right. Appreciate the guys from Flippin the Birds coming on. We've definitely built up a great rapport with them. Always fun to talk Eagles with them as well. Friends and colleagues at this point. I think after 3 shows, we can definitely call them that for sure. And appreciate them stepping up in Kevin's absence tonight and kind of helping out with the Eagles content as well. So to wrap the show up, nothing changes here. We're going to do our TikTok. Vince is here with me to knock it out. This one will be special for Eagles fans as well. Tonight we are doing top 3 destinations for Russell Wilson. Vince, you ready?
Yeah. Let me get all set real quick. I just want to.
Okay. Somebody. Oh my goodness, he's got his Billie Eilish hat on again. I did see somebody post her concert experience, and she posted a video today. I was like, oh yeah, that looks cool. I don't know if I'd miss the Super Bowl for it, but yeah.
It was a pretty easy decision.
If you say so.
It was that or be homeless. So.
All right. Let's get into it. Top 3 destinations for Russell Wilson. I'll go first. At 3, I just have the Seahawks. It would be just very Russell Wilson-ish for nothing to change, and we do this again, another offseason of it, and then he's back in Seattle for another year.
Number 3, I have the Falcons, just because I think it'd be funny for Future to have to watch Russell Wilson every week. I don't know if Russ would want to do that, but at least the Future would be closer to his kid.
Oh God, I think she has the kid. I don't think. Do you think Future takes care of the kid?
No, but I'm saying if they had to move to Atlanta,
you think? Oh, then they could split the time a little bit better.
Yeah. Kind of like how Garth Brooks does it, where he moved in next to his ex-wife.
Yeah, Garth Brooks and Future. What a combination of people. The connection you just made. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. At 2, I have the Eagles. 1, they have the resources to get it done. And 2, they have the maniac in charge who will stop at nothing to make Russell Wilson an Eagle. So at 2, I have the Philadelphia Eagles.
2, I also have the Eagles. I mean, we've been trying to do this for how many years now? It feels like 20. Like, it's going to happen at some point, whether or not we get him on his Tom Brady retirement tour or now. He's going to be on the Eagles at one point. Now. He might just do like a one-day contract to retire as an Eagle.
Yeah, just like, oh, you didn't get to draft me, but I did promise you in the draft that I'd win you a championship. So here, I'll throw you a bone. Here's 1 year of me. All right. At 1, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they have the infrastructure of a Super Bowl team. He can add another ring. Great defense. That's how he helped get his first ring with the Seahawks. Then obviously if they re-sign Chris Godwin, they still have quite a few weapons there. So we can kind of fill that role and fill that void that Tom Brady left behind. Everything else kind of stays the same for that team with a better offensive line than in Seattle.
At 1, I have the Dolphins. I just think he would look awesome in that uniform, and I really don't have any other explanation.
That is true. Sometimes it's just a uniform thing. Sometimes you just got to say, this guy, it looks like it fits.
Yeah, it just feels like a natural fit, and there's no other explanation.
The all-white Dolphins uniforms, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. It's going to look like him at the Pro Bowl. And Pro Bowls always have odd uniforms and players look weird.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it's going to look.
And he just seems like a Miami guy too, like it just feels like a Miami guy. Just feels like it would make sense. Him and Jalen Waddle, that would be something. So I like that list. All right, that's our TikTok and that's our show. I appreciate everybody who hung with us with just the one host tonight, but I appreciate Vince holding us down, producing as always, helping with the TikTok and being Billie Eilish's #1 fan. And again, thank you to the guys at Flippin the Birds. Check out their podcast as well. We've been on it, so I can officially endorse it because we had a great time and it was a great show. And then thank you to Kevin as well. He'll be back soon, guarantee. And I'm excited for him to get to share his news. So we'll be back next week, same time, same place, and we'll see you then.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there. There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach. That
is the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.